force coming down from SBTC, trying to catch out Ron, maybe sitting a little bit out of sorts. And as we see some runes, nothing particularly out of the ordinary. Ron wanting to play a little bit more aggressive with the Aerie instead of a Guardian, perhaps, but all is well. All makes sense.
The most surprising or unusual thing I would say is probably Yado going for that spellbook in mid lane, especially into any. You don't really need any of the other runes specifically. Face Rush isn't really necessary. You can't really do much with Conqueror because it's always easy for any with her move speed. And her son to just get away from you. So neither one is great here, so he just decides for Spellbook, which is the neutral rune when you just want to scale up and chill. And in team fights, you're going to be strong anyway. So I like that rune choice from him. And we see that Pun is definitely looking to trade onto Emperor, and he doesn't get stunned here. Nope, he does. He could have had a good trade there. And while we see in bot lane, Palette already playing really aggressive level 1. And that's the advantage that Jinx has in this matchup, level 1 specifically, where she has a lot of push. I talked about it in the last series. Jinx wants to play wave, Aphelios wants to play fight, and we're going to see that with those two lanes, where Jinx is just going to look to hit wave consistently, while Aphelios is trying to hit enemies.
Yeah, I also appreciate going back to the mid lane a little bit, that Yado is, of course, a bit of a sitting duck, and with that point and click stun, having access to that cleanse on occasion with that spellbook will help stop DNK perhaps finding some angles where he can get ahead and start rolling in place of Drakthar. So, but bot side, as we see, Vinboy's getting that crash down early, and Artemis and Ron up here just gonna have to sit under tower. They can, of course, put some pressure onto the lane as some more levels come in, but for now, they're just going to play as safe as possible and try and get what farm they can.
Yeah, especially this first level, Jinx just has the push advantage, so we're going to see that if Artemis and Ron are farming correctly, then they shouldn't lose too much in the 2v2. They might fall behind a handful of minions here and there, and so far it's looking like they actually have missed a decent amount of minions, so small advantage already over to Winboys, and Palette and DNK is looking to exploit that bot lane prio buff. Really nice clear coming in from Lee Sin, being aware that he can be invaded on the timer. Just make sure that he has cleared all invadable camps at that point. Now can look for a reset after the wolves, or look for the crab, depending on what he wants. And it's looking like he actually wants to contest the spot crab together with this mid lane prio.
Yeah, with Yado in pocket, this one should be easy, and the crossover as well should be available to Drakthar if he wants it. DNK, he has to be a little bit careful if he's going straight up the river, because at this point, DO1 should be stronger, especially given Yado's low health bar, mana bar, not health bar. So has to be a bit careful. DO1 will move on to attack Yado, and from there, Drakthar just kind of has to abandon crab, and all is fine. But he gets the path into his Krugs, and his jungle his clear is completely okay, but Yado may have overstepped.
Flash gets traded for Flash, and Yado gets out. So Flashes have been traded. Yado can now TP back in, get himself his first summoner as well, and it's really interesting for me what Drakthar did, because he kinda I expected him to kind of recall. Oh, he's actually looking for mid here.
Okay, no flash for Yado, so D1 should be pretty safe unless there's a Ron OP to get the slowdown, and between that and the Rune Prison, it's an easy pickup for Drakthar. So kills traded. Wait, actually no kills traded, because Yado didn't die. Which is why I got confused. Yeah.
Yes, it's just a kill over to Cerberus. Good start for them. I was a bit surprised by Drakthar actually going for those cracks, not sinking his camps. Now he has a bit of an awkward jungle clear. He has to find a way to really sync those camps. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he, for example, just takes his Raptors, then looks for a bit of party and goes for a full clear from bot to top again, or something in that line, where he can then just start contesting the Herald. Or he just accepts that his camps are just not going to be synced, and he's going to drop CS to later place. And it's looking like he's doing that, so he just hates his Crux. Fine enough.
Fair enough. Cerberus. Okay, Arm's taking a bit of a bad end of that trade as he steps onto a trap, and with DNK lurking in the area, they're just gonna... A dive might be a bit too much. Handshake, of course, not going to land with their good glitter lance, so they're just gonna put the pressure on and make sure they can't go to the waves. But Ron may have stepped a bit far forward. DNK now taking some damage. Yada Realm warps right into everybody, and they can't quite kill him in time, so the bailout will not come through. And now Drakthar is in the backline. Vinboys is going to do his best, but the reset on the queue. Artemis has enough cooldown, and now Dia is going to get chased down into the loving arms of Ron OP. Drakthar will take that kill, and that just kind of signals the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think you're not completely wrong. I think there are also win conditions through that Jinx, but yeah. I mean, the thing about is the Yado goes, like, actually TP or goes into everybody with his ultimate, but they don't really have damage because Any went for CDR boots. Jinx doesn't have a reset yet, really, so you don't really have that much damage on them. And that just means that you're going to be chilling now, and you're right. I think if you play it down correctly, Cerberus now has a huge advantage.
Yeah, a bit of a slight misfortune from Vinboys where the flash clicked onto a minion instead of Yado, so that meant he wasted an extra second when maybe gave Artemis enough time to get that Q that trapped him on the tower. But it doesn't really matter. It probably wouldn't have actually mattered in the end. So, all in all, it's 1 kill back. At least you did get something for the Jinx, but 5 kills to Cerberus is not where you want to be. Because Pun, even in the top side where you are getting a bit of an advantage, Pun is perfectly happy to just sit there and be a big tanky fella. We know that historically, and with his team doing as well as they are, he is having a grand old time. All that has been popped, but Drakthar is going to come in to try and save him. Endport will go under the tower and trade 1 for 1. Well, but with DNK there, it rounds up to a double kill, so Cerberus not out of it just yet.
Yeah, the wave is also great, and it's a shutdown for the Wukong plus the Herald, and I think you said it, the game should be over. It's not, because they got everything back. Yes, the gold lead isn't equalized yet, but with the Herald and the top wave, it should be equalized soon. And we can look back at the trade Emperor, where Pan was trading really aggressively into Emperor because he was called by his jungler that he was on the way. All Out now is used, but Drakthar, he takes so much damage. DNK already level 6, he isn't, which means that fight is just, that's the difference in this fight, right? DNK with the level 6, Lee Sin without it. And so they can't fight it. And now the swap comes in, so Pan has to take more punishment here, with the Vinboys probably getting a few playthings here and there, maybe. But especially in this case, Santo is always a champion that in the 1v2 can still find those small angles. And now the swap actually costing them a lot, because Artemis is getting free CS down here, while there's nothing taken on top side, and the reset coming in. So I'm not sure about the swap.
Yeah, that seems like a bit of a disaster, actually. And overall, even then, Empa has actually not really had a CS advantage over Pun, it looks like. So that's just free plates to the Aphelios. And now they're trying to swap back because they've sort of realized their fumble. And that's not so great from the side of SBTC. As that's, just free gold for Cerberus.
And it really brings Artemis in, and for everybody who has watched Cerberus throughout the last year, I don't think you can understand, or we've been talking about Artemis so much on this channel. I think he has been one of the talking points, just because the year prior, 2021, he was probably one of the most, if not the most dominant player in this league. And he's been really missing that edge. I think a lot of other AD carries have also just been getting better, especially Shogun and Taki were a bot lane that we talked about a lot last year, right? We had here and there some really good bot lanes coming in, especially good supports as well, to level the playing field, at least in lane. So Artemis couldn't get the same lane advantages. Then he had a small misplace from himself in those team fights where he couldn't bring it on. But I think him being back in form, him really finding the gold advantages in lane is really important again. And he is in a great position to carry this game, especially with Aphelios in the mid game. That one item power spike with the Gale Force still available for him. and still able to make plays around, especially with Drake spawning in a minute. I think that should be a target for Cerberus.
Yeah, I definitely think last year was a bit of a rough one for Artemis, given his team situation. I think, given the fact that Cerberus seemed to be trying to run multiple rosters. So basically, you had Poss, Leash, and Huber as one core, and then Pun, Drakthar, Ron as the other, and then you were splitting time, and Artemis never had a consistent lane mate. Just wasn't working out for him. This time, though, everything is much better for Cerberus. They've settled. They are keeping things pretty comfortable, and their early game hasn't necessarily been their strongest point, unless they've had ego, but they definitely come alive on the team fights, and as long as Artemis can get to that mid game comfortably, Ron is going to be bailed out by Drakthar, they should be just fine. And Artemis is pretty happily farming along. He's got a kill, he's got a few assists in pocket, so he has been a little bit accelerated and should be well in line to take part in this dragon fight as he backs for his mythic.
Really interesting, because Cerberus has give up this second Drake. They're all going for resets simultaneously, so they just decided, okay, we don't have the power spikes yet. They didn't have the Gale Force beforehand. They really wanted that. Rod of Ages also just completed for the Rise. He couldn't really get back on the map in time. But SBTC, they don't really smell it, I guess, and so they don't start out the Drake, and now Cerberus is actually in a decent position.
Yada's gonna flash out so the traps do not land, and that's just a bit of CC committed. Artemis is gonna just walk straight past Ballet. Drakthar was starting the dragon, but now everything's sort of set back to neutral. A few key ultimates blown. Really just that Dragon's Rage kick available for the side of Cerberus, but they are on the better power spikes right now, as they did get the resets in. So they're going to be just comfortable taking this dragon, and SBTC are going to let that one go.
Yeah, Rod of Ages already finished on Yado, Gale Force already finished on Aphelios, and that just means that especially those two power spikes, which are basically the exact same power spikes on the other side, aren't here yet. Yes, you had the Divine Sandra on Wukong, but that alone is just not enough, and with that they decided to back off, to give it up. I think they had a timer for Drake, they kind of missed it though, weren't really sure if Cerberus had actually gone for the reset. And in the end, good back from Cerberus to just get those advantages in base, and then good punish on the non-taken Drake.
Yeah, and even on the other side of the map, we saw Pun with that fully completed Iceborne Gauntlet, just taking it to Enper right now. He's gotten himself a decent lead, and he's keeping this Jax down. That will eventually swap back around, of course. Well, that's what you tend to expect, but for now, Pun can put the pressure on. Pun can keep this Jax caged. And that's what they want, because Enper has, I mean, he's been a menace in splits past. He was the man with 49 solo kills last split, including playoffs. So yeah, he's kind of the guy you're expecting to pop off. Technically, he already, oh no, he doesn't have a kill, sorry. DNK apparently got the solo kill onto Pun. Because I saw a solo kill, a quote-unquote solo kill land on Pun earlier. So, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but anyways, I think the 2v2 in top lane has been the really strong play for them, and now the big question is, can they snowball it in anything? The gold is still that even now first power spikes, Rod of Ages, and the Kraken Slayer have come in, so there is a chance for SBTC to fight this, but they have to get in, and the Jax does not have the priority. Especially this top lane is worrying, because Keisante is just twice the champion that Jax is right now, so it's so hard to play around this top side.
Yeah, no priority, no mythic. Now hitting level 11, so has that power spike. Yado's going to get caught on the way back to lane, and with a big hostile takeover, that will secure it. But that's just the one. The inside track onto mid will net them a lot of tower damage, but not quite enough to bring it down just yet. That's good pick from SBTC. They are still showing a lot of fight in this game.
Yeah, and also good presence of mind to understand, okay, both top lanes are top, which in the 4v4 is an advantage for us. 5v5, they're much weaker because Pan exists, but in the 4v4, they're actually very strong, and especially if they can get that first reset, it's really easy. Paladin with a great ultimate to basically zone away the rest of Cerberus to make sure that Yado dies alone, and even though he had stopwatch, even though he had the Lulu ulti, it wasn't enough, and now the answer, though, coming in with the Herald on the reset means that the mid lane turret is probably still falling first for Cerberus.
Yeah, that one will drop. It's not going to be first break, as Vinboys was able to pick that one up in the bot lane at some point. Missed that one, but that's still going to bring the gold back to the side of SBTC. And yeah, we saw this earlier. Great Palette ultimate just guarantees the auto pick.
Yeah, but that's how you want to use your Nata build space. And that's how you also want to use the NU plus the Wukong. That's so much burst damage, of course, coming in with the Divine Thunder as well. Now it's on to Pan.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage with that handshake coming through, but in the end, it does achieve the goal of keeping the tower alive for at least another wave. But with the siege potential, the range on Annie and Jinx, they should be able to take this down now, and per joining in. So this tower will fall down, and they get control over this bot side river to try and set up, make sure vision is in place, as Dragon will be spawning very shortly. And this one, it's an Infernal once again. We've just had a run of Infernals today.
I mean, we had 2 Infernals and the Mountain in the first one, so the gods are definitely giving us the best souls possible. Couldn't have been a Mountain in this game, so it was, of course, the Infernal, because bad souls are not wanted here. And moving on to that Drake, I'm interested to see if Cerberus actually goes for it. Yado is still in top lane, and it's looking like they're rather shifting in towards the top lane. But they had a very similar play where they played it very slowly. But now, this time, it's really looking like they're playing for the top turret and not for the Drake. Maybe they're sending in Draktar for a steal, but I can't really see it happening. Or him succeeding, and they're just trading into 2 top lane turrets.
Yeah, just going to try and take as much gold on the top side of the map as possible, committing the full push, and with Artemis here, despite this Tibbers, and that Super Mega Death Rocket does a lot. Oh my god, Dia! That was a hell of a lot of damage, and Dia is just going to pick up 2. Doesn't quite want to chase on to run, but that was a lot of damage. That 1Q did like half of Artemis's health.
No, that was a quadra stack tower shot.
Oh,
they didn't have minions,
okay.
and the Tibbers one-shot the minions, and Yado and Artemis just didn't care that there were no minions left.
I see. Well, there's an attempt from Draktar. He's going to kick Palette into Vinboys, and now Pun is going to try to do his best. There's a very low Jinx, but they can't quite catch up on teleport from Yado. Gonna be taken down into that bailout, and the all-out will be delivering Pun to Palette. Pun's going to sneak away on a smidgen of health, and Cerberus do fight back there. That was
so
spicy.
You said something very interesting about Cerberus team comp before this game started, right? It is a very low range team comp all around, except if you have the range working for Artemis, right? So what would you not build on Vinboy's side?
No. Some kind of cannon, some sort of fire cannon that goes fast, I believe.
Yeah, and I've heard that increases your range. First of all, great punish here on the side of Cerberus with the TP, and then of course Pun does get out with a sliver of HP, and yeah, I mean Rapid Fire Cannon was just finished for Vinboys. Again, I think other items are just more valuable. At least he's not building Gale Force and Rapid Fire Cannon, so he decides to at least have some damage to his name, but still I feel like going for more of an attack speed item in the Phantom Dancer could be better. And now we have to see how both teams play it out, because SBTC, they want to have that one kill, that all-in engage with Annie and Wukong, burst one out, get the reset for Vinboys, and let him carry the team fight. On the other hand, Cerberus, they like this. They want to have flanks. They want to have Pun in the backline, making sure that Jinx doesn't get to play. They want Drakta in the backline, making sure that Jinx can't play. And then, of course, run OP, Yado, and Artemis to stand as a unit and make sure that on the other side, the Wukong and Emperor can't kill the backline.
Yeah, just gonna be... So there is a benefit for Ben Boys. He is going to rush that... He's gonna get that second item a little bit earlier, as Artemis is going to go for the Bloodthirster second. We've been seeing this a lot more. Between that and the Overheal, this basically makes you into a tank in your own regards. So he's gonna be quite happy sitting there, doing a lot of damage, and healing back up. But now we're on to a potential Baron setup from the side of SBTC. They haven't actually started it. Just gonna be given some harass, courtesy of Yado throwing a thing over the wall. But with this on play, we need to see the setups coming through. Currently, it's all SBTC all the time, as the side lanes are being played by Cerberus.
Yeah, Cerberus currently pushing up both side lanes, so SBTC, they have to answer them soon, or they're going to lose more and more on these side lanes. Now we see Yado moving in. I think SBTC just decided, you can play side lanes, we're just going to play mid lane turret. The TP comes in, but I think that TP is bad.
Yeah, it just got cancelled immediately. Enput jumped straight onto Artemis, and now the burst has fallen on Drakta. Finally, they get the reset. Now Vinvoice is popping off, gonna try and pick off Rono. P can't quite finish it off, but they're gonna get the inhibitor. They got a kill. That's exactly what they needed. It's traded for one turret on the bot side, because Pun's teleport was dog shit.
Yeah, and look at the Wolf Camp. At the Wolf Camp, there was actually a ward in behind the enemy team. I think they could have just TP'd Pun onto that ward, maybe even Yado as well, double TP on the Wolves and just run at them from behind. If we look at this, yeah, the ward was there as well.
Yep.
Just TP on the Wolves, get in behind. Yado just joins with the ultimate, and then you have them flanked. You make sure that that Vinboys can't play for free. And yes, you get the Wukong. Yes, it ends up being a 1-for-1. Both junglers dead, but still, Inhib actually being taken down, and that means that now in mid lane, it's so much easier for them to build mid priority, which already they had an advantage in, and already SBTC was pushing first. So it's not going to be easy for Cerberus to contest this Drake, and they really want to, because they want to stack towards that soul, because scaling should be on the side of SBTC, just because Vinboys exists and Jinx exists.
Yeah, but they've definitely had a bit of... Cerberus especially have had trouble trying to access the waves, especially when that death ball was there. Punt is going to find himself another tower, so a bit more gold into the pockets of Cerberus, but of course, you're really mostly just feeding your Cassante with this, and unless he can find that really big all-out that just removes Vinboys from the fight, doesn't seem like it's gonna be worth it, as more and more damage going to the side of SBTC. Free lane control gets them priority over both objectives, and now they're gonna have to say, all right, Cerberus, come to us. We can just start this Baron. Or not.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you want to start it outright right now, especially since Yado does have TTP. But still, you just play through top, you play through mid lane, because mid lane is playing itself, basically, and you just take free turrets around the map, you take the free gold that is still standing, because you don't need Nash to take this tier 1 turret, maybe not even Nash to take the tier 2, and now you just look for an all-in, and again, if Cerberus doesn't answer this, they just get run down, and Yado has to actually TP to carry, to stop that engage and stop that push from happening.
And they always have to keep someone to maintain mid. We saw Drakthar just sitting there clearing out the mid wave so Yado could teleport in and support the top lane. And it's just pressure from SBTC. Now Enpa gets time alone. He's built the Blade of the Rune King, so he can actually do a decent... He can actually work his way through Pun if the lane is long enough. Yado kind of alone, but the W does not connect from Dia. So it's just a bit more pressure being put forth. And just keeping them under tower, so Pun can perhaps, or Enpa can work his magic on the sideline.
if SBTC had actually kept cooldowns perfectly, I think they could have gone to Nash right here and quickly started it, because there was about a 20-25 seconds window where Pun didn't have TP and Emperor did have TP, so they could have had a numbers advantage there. In the end, that is now not the case anymore. And they're going
to just unload everything onto Yado, and then Artemis gets hit by the hostile takeover and nearly kills Ron on his own, but now Emperor's in the backside. He's gone a bit too far out of tower, and Pun is wreaking havoc. Now Vinboys is really low. He's not quite going to burn down into the bailouts, but Artemis untouched, and SBTC just take one step too far.
Yeah, and I don't understand why you're forcing the play when the TP is back up. You had the clear timer where you had TP advantage, where it could have been a numbers advantage. Instead, you take it on even numbers, and again, you take it on Yado, who is basically one of the most tanky members in Cerberus team comp. Like, this guy is way too tanky. You can't engage on Yado. It has to be Artemis. It has to be Run OP, or even Pun. I think it's unironically right now better to go onto Pun.
DNK is here. He's going to get polymorph, so he can't finish off the kill. That's going to keep the thing leashed, but they kind of want to kill DNK. This might have been a bit too much to chew at this stage in the game. DNK is untouched right now. He's going. Drakthar will secure it and get out. Okay.
That was well played. Still from Cerberus, who just use Artemis Flash. Understand that, yes, we have to use that Flash to get the Nash, but that's completely fine. And here we see they're going on to Yado, but Yado is way too tanky, and there's a 5-man Aphelios ulti. That one really hurt. Then Emperor is looking to get into backline, but he's just getting run down in the end. And Artemis, together with Pun, can clean up the back line. Especially Pun was buying so much time, and that's because he can basically solely build armor, and it's only Dia1 who really doesn't want to focus him, so he isn't really taking any damage in those fights, because Jinx doesn't have enough damage yet, and the same is true for the Jack. So yeah, I think Pun is having way too much value.
Yeah, Pun pretty much crushing with that all out, not being able to kill anyone himself, but doing more than enough damage. And now Baron in the hands of Cerberus. They can recover a little bit of lost ground. They've built up their gold lead. They can set up, and if they can control play off these two waves in mid and bot, they can convert that into a dragon comfortably and really put themselves into a commanding position, because they're just fiddling for vision right now.
Drakthar, my son.
Scar Award, go, bro.
Yes, absolutely. It is what it is. If Scarra can't do it, he can't do it. It's fine. The best between us, and we have to talk about AD carry power specs, because both Infinity Ashes have actually come in. There is a stopwatch on Vinboy, so he has that extra utility, but no summoners on either AD carry. So both AD carries are really vulnerable, especially without the cleanse on Artemis. He has to play really far back, so Annie doesn't find that flash Tibers.
DNK's going to go in onto Yado once again. Everything just dumped into Yado. Artemis cannot contribute, though. You can see how far back he's playing, how hard it is for him to work in any damage, and a beautiful Tibers will bring down to a slow as well as Zap, and that's going to just be it. They have cleaned up Cerberus. They're going to clean up the inhibitor and just end the game. Tibers can tank all day, so can Emperor, and that's it for game one.
Yeah, and that's just a huge issue that they had with Artemis not having cleanse. He couldn't stab up, he couldn't walk up at all, and in the end, it's a really good game from SBTC. They looked really good against one of the strongest teams in the league.